you should have imagination and then ask the right person to how can we do that. The artists I produced were, for example, the Beatsteaks, Tocotronic, Dendemann, a German hip-hop artist, KZ, another German hip-hop artist, Kreator, a German thrash metal band. So some.
Just a few.
Just a few. Yeah, my journey into this business was started like being a T-boy in a very little studio. And after 2 years in this little studio, I changed to Hansa Studio, which is a huge studio. The wall came down, and I went back to Berlin and started my career as a freelance producer engineer. But it was quite hard. And, I had no budget these days, because no one was trusting me or was trusting in my work. So I had to work with punk rock bands and for very small budget, in small rooms with technique that's not very expensive technique, you know what I mean? So, and what I learned was to make the best out of it. So, for example, to save money and time, I went to the rehearsal room and I worked with the band in the rehearsal room before we go to the studio. So in best case, everything was prepared. So when we in the rehearsal room, so when we entered the studio, we knew exactly what to do. And maybe we spent only 3 days in the studio recording the whole album. So it depends on the pre-production. So I was spending most of my time in the rehearsal room before we enter the studio, because in these days music was produced like a sandwich. You started with a click track, then with drums, bass, and all the other stuff, and at the end of the day, you called it music. And it was quite strange for me, and so I was specializing or focusing on the live recording in a studio. Working with the band, with the whole band in a studio, in a live situation, that means all musicians share one room. All musicians are, let's say, expect the most of themselves. They want to reach 120%. There's a lot of energy in the room. You have to try to channel this energy, and so music comes out at the end of the day. But this is, for me, the most challenge, the biggest challenge in music production is to channel this energy. And sometimes you have bad energy because maybe they have a problem, and even this is an energy. So when they are in a bad mood, you ask for a very fast song, a very aggressive song. Could you please play a very aggressive song? Yes, we can. Something like this. So at the end of the day, you hopefully make the musicians smile, and then you got it. Everyone is smiling then. Yeah, there was a story with a band I really don't want to name because they still exist. They're quite huge. And when they were asking me to produce their album, I said, well, I want to do a live recording. And I said, yes, we want to. But other people around the band told me it's not possible with this band because they feel more like artists, but not as musicians. So I said to the band, okay, let's go to a very cheap studio. We do something like a pre-production to find out what's the best way of production. This very, very cool atmosphere, because everyone thought, yeah, it's a cheap studio. We don't spend this much money, and we try to find out what's going on. And I was recording everything, and at the end of the day, we found out, hey, that's the album. Because everyone was so free of everything, and so there was no pressure at all. So when you listen to the record now, it feels like, wow, it's just fun to do music. Everyone was surprised after 3 or 4 days when I said, hey, what you're just doing here, it feels so great. It's the album. And it saved us a lot of money and a lot of nerves. And it was the beginning of a long friendship. still, after 25 years, I still produce their albums. So the profession of music producers has changed, because there are less bands around. More people are concentrating, sitting in front of the computer, and work with sounds other people recorded 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So the modern music producer is also a writer. I'm more like an arranger. I try to help the band with the arrangement. And nowadays, a music producer is also the writer of the songs, or the co-writer. And as a writer, you are the writer, so writing license are much higher than producer license. With all these possibilities nowadays, writing and producing is the same process, So it starts with, I want to play something on a piano. Okay, let's find the right piano on the computer, And then you find your special piano and say, wow, that's really cool. And I feel something, So you keep this sound, and so you add more and more, and this is like the production already. So there's no need to re-record it with a real piano then, That's what I do. So I'm more writer now. Well, what kind of tips? Yeah. First is listen. Listen is very important. Listen to other people's opinion. Listen to music. Listen. I mean, everything is about listening, and never try to be higher than the musician. Give the musician the feeling that he is the man, or the star. And so don't take yourself too serious. And the last thing, which is very important, is be honest. If someone asks you, be honest. Don't say, I love it, if you don't love it. If you don't like something, try to express it in a positive way. And if you don't find a positive way, then ask questions. If I don't like something, you can ask, what is this for, this part, or this melody, or the word, or the idea? What is the idea behind this? And this is something completely different than I don't like it. You know what I mean? So and then we come back to the point, listen, what other people say, and try to find out what's going on just by listening. Sometimes, the bass player is too shy, or doesn't find the right way to express himself or herself. But when you listen to the bass player, maybe they are the better ideas, because also the boss or the alpha tier is running out of ideas. You know what I mean? And then it's cool that maybe you listen to the bass player and then say, well, the bass player had this wonderful idea to try something like this, blah, blah, blah. And that helps the hierarchy within the band, So the weakest part in a band gets higher. So the whole production gets higher on a higher level. So that's what I mean with listen. And be honest.
Very good.
Yeah, when I had the masterclass here at BIMM, I was surprised that it was packed. I was surprised that normally when I give workshops, there are only boys, to be honest. And I was really surprised that it was a very diverse community. It gave me a very good feeling anyway. And I was surprised about the high quality of questions. So there was a deeper understanding of things working, and so I was really surprised.
Did you have a favorite question?
Yeah, one was about cymbals, because, this is for cymbals in a drum kit causes problems. And because this is, I have a love-hate relationship with cymbals, and so I was also surprised that someone asked me especially this question: hey, do you have problems with cymbals? Yes, I have. Berlin is a very special place because I was born here. So I was in London, I worked in New York. Yes, also very good cities, and I love these cities. but Berlin is still affordable. After the wall came down, it became a new melting pot. People from all over the world came to Berlin, and I love to hear all these different languages, and I really do like it. And with artists, always, let's say, if you want to do art, you can't pay too much money for your rent, and if you want to concentrate on your art, then the cost should be as low as possible. And Berlin still, maybe not for always, but nowadays it's still possible to concentrate more on art. Hopefully it will last. What is a piece of music which is an absolute must because then you understand everything. No? It's about this. It's very easy. It's Strawberry Fields by the Beatles. And after 59 seconds, you will hear the edit of the Millennium. And because this was done analog. So it's not now it's a longer story to explain this. But, for me, this stands for everything is possible. If you have something in mind, if you hear something, you can do it. So first of all, you should have imagination. And then ask the right person to, how can we do that? So Strawberry Fields is a very good example.